Welcome to Know Your Money. I'm your host, Bronwyn Wayner. With me is Craig Finch, my business partner from Growth Financial Planning. Joining us today and every day is our sound engineer, Warren Grimsley. In our podcast, we will explore our relationship with money and how the psychology of it impacts our financial decisions, as everyone thinks about money differently. We will be presenting a variety of financial topics in an easy-to-understand way, which we hope will assist you in managing your money. Hello, everybody. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing compound interest. Hello, Craig. How are you today?
Good, thanks, Bron, and nice to see you, Warren.
Always a pleasure, Craig. Always a pleasure. Hello, Bronwyn.
Hello, guys. So, Albert Einstein said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it earn it, and those who don't pay it. Basically, in simple terms, compound interest is the interest you earn on interest. With a savings account that earns compound interest, you earn interest on the initial principal plus on the interest that accumulates over time. So that to me feels like a little bit of a mouthful, and there could be an easier way to understand it. Craig?
That reminds me of a mountain and snow. So if you can imagine in this heat wave a snowy mountain, and you are standing on top of the mountain and you've got a small pebble of snow and you roll it down that mountain. It'll depend on how long the mountain is or the hill is on how big your snowball ends at the bottom. So the longer the hill, the bigger the snowball at the end of the mountain. So the whole point behind this is the longer time you have investing, the bigger the amount will be at the end.
Okay, that totally makes sense. So basically what you're saying is if you start investing earlier, you can add more interest onto your investments, right?
So as that snowball rolls down the mountain, it's your money getting invested every month. It earns interest, and the next month they add that interest on, and the next month they add it on. So the snowball gets bigger and bigger, and the longer you have, there's no break in it. You keep on investing for as long as possible. By the end of the time, you'll see that you've put hardly any money in, but your end result is huge.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Just for someone like me, so the interest on interest idea, it's not linear then, it's more of an exponential growth.
That's correct, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so the longer you're in it, you really do see the rewards.
Very much so.
And that's basically why they say it's an eighth wonder of the world, because a lot of times people start investing when it's too late. So say you wake up and you go, oh my goodness, there's 10 years to retirement, I better start saving. And what happens is the amount that you would need to save versus the amount a 20-year-old would need to save is so different because you don't have those compounding effects. So you might have to put away 10,000 Rand a month, opposed to if you had started when you were 20, that amount might have only been 1,000 Rand, because that 1,000 Rand would increase and the compounding effects on that would move across. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. Craig?
So Warren Buffett is a very wealthy man, and he's...
Great name as well.
Yeah.
Great name.
And he's been investing for 80 years. If he had invested for 40 years, he would be worth about $19 million, which is a lot of money. But because it's 80 years, he's worth over $80 billion. And the common denominator in that equation is time. He just sat in the investment world for a lot longer than most people.
You know, it's funny, actually. Part of a book I read recently talked about time being one's greatest asset in life. And I think this is a good example financially of why it's your best asset, because the longer you have the money going in and being invested constantly as well, not just the once a year, but the better outcome for you.
Absolutely. It's not breaking that investment. It's keeping it invested for as long as possible. And it's back to time in the markets. It's not time in the market. So when there's a panic in the world, you don't sell your unit trusts or your investments or cash it out. You just keep on investing because that snowball is still going down the hill.
And frankly, Craig, won't your whoever's managing your retirement fund or whatever it is, they will maneuver in such a way that they don't get hit as badly as you would expect during a meltdown of the market.
No, absolutely, Warren. That's why we use A-class fund managers, and all we ask our clients to do is to stay invested for as as long as possible.
I think that's exactly it. There's sort of two sides to compound interest. I think a lot of people think to themselves, I don't want to start saving because it's so little and what's the point? If you understand compound interest, there is a point. So even if it's 100 Rand that you can invest, just start investing so that can compound. And the second side to compound interest, as you explaining, Craig, is to stay invested. You can't keep pulling out and chopping and changing, because then you're not going to experience the compound interest or the roll of that hill like you should if you keep stopping the ball and then only putting it back on at the next part.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this all sounds very cheery to me. But what about sort of the negative side of it? So debt. Can you compound debt interest?
Good question.
Absolutely, Warren. So it works exactly the opposite way. If you owe money, you're paying interest on that money. The longer you owe that money, like compounding, the more interest you're paying. And that's the dark side of compounding. So people, like Einstein said, you either earn it or you pay it. In a way, we're talking about our vitality. Blue vitality clients are actually paying the compounding, and the gold vitality clients are receiving it.
Yeah.
In a small analogy like that. So the very important thing is that if you owe money, you must pay it off as quickly as possible. Therefore, your hill, your mountain or your hill is shorter. Therefore, you're paying less interest.
And just that sort of explain. So say, for example, you buy something for 1,000 Rand and it's 18% interest. You will then owe like 1,180 Rand. Okay, then you're going to pay interest on that 1,080 Rand. So it will add on more than that. So that's why what Craig's saying, pay off your cards as fast as possible. Otherwise, it does carry on.
Yeah, I think anybody who's got a home bond can see how much they initially borrowed and how much they would have paid off in total over the 25, 30-year period. And tell me if I'm wrong, but it's probably about double, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we are going to do some episodes on home loans and access bonds, so that will really help. So I really think the take-homes from this episode is start investing whenever you can and stay invested and really benefit from compound interest.
And pay your debt off as quickly as possible.
Good one.
Nice, guys, nice.
Thanks, guys.
Till next time.
Cheerio.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe or visit our website www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.